This weekend on the original Rochester Press Box.
I'm Pat Duffy from the Breakroom on WCMF. I'm going to tell you why, if Ray Allen's plan works, they should start handing out half championship rings.
I'm Dan Moriarty, and I'll do the impossible by defending A-Rod. Well, kinda.
I'm Jon Doss from 13 WHAM TV, and I'm going to tell you why local coaches deserve a little love.
I'm Bill Pucko on retiring George Selkirk's number 3. Join us this weekend on the original Rochester Press Box. Hello, everyone, and welcome into the original Rochester Press Box. I'm Bill Pucko, joined by, sitting in for John DiTullio, Dan Moriarty. Dan, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
And from Channel 13.
It's a nice suit.
You like that?
You really want to start doing that?
That's a nice suit. I like that.
All right, that is a very nice suit.
I'm
Guy
just
says that
hoping
he's
somebody will
never had
compliment me on my red pants.
Well, I think it's fair to say
I'm
that
actually
you
distracted by
you
the
said
pants.
coming in, you never had a chance to wear the red pants, and that was before you said anything about the socks.
Well, you probably can't even see the socks on this corner camera.
Show the socks.
It completes the outfit. It really
These
does.
things must be done delicately.
Yeah. I woke up at 10 to do this today.
Me as well.
John Doss from 13 WHAM News. And joining us again is Duffy from the Breakroom, one of our favorite guest panelists. Duffy, thanks for joining us.
No problem. I thought I was going to be brave with the tie bar.
Tie clip. No, tie clip's good.
And then I saw corduroy pants.
Yeah, well.
Nothing braver than corduroy pants.
Youth must be
corduroy
served
pants.
today. These guys are all under 30, so I'm just glad to be alive. Look, the Combine is taking place in Nashville. That's where Mike Catalana is covering the Combine
Yep,
for Channel
Toby's there,
13.
too.
Is 900 media credentials. We pay so much attention to this, Duffy. Why?
It's interesting. Now, I was talking about this on our show this morning, actually. I'm going to get sucked into the NFL Network this week. I'm going to watch 300-pound grown men run in tights. And I'm going to watch every 40-yard dash. Well, because it's funny when the fat guys run with their shirts off. I enjoy that. But also because there's nothing better. There's nothing better than football, even when it's the most watered-down base version of football. How about, I'm a diehard Bills fan. We don't even have a first-round pick. There's no reason for me to really sit down and break this down, but I'm going to.
Looking for guys with second-round bodies.
Sure, yeah, like I know what that is.
What kind of stuff is Mike sending you back?
Well, not second-round bodies. We like extremes, right? And that's kind of what the NFL Combine is. It's either a guy who's going to make his career by running a 4.340, or it's a guy who's going to lower his draft stock, fall all the way down to the 6th round because he couldn't rep 185 or 225 24 times. We like extremes. The average guys that are falling into that 2 to 5 round category, they're going to stay there. It's the guys that are going to make or break their draft stocks. That's what interests us.
It's something that we make way too much of. We'll talk about it a ton. It'll mean almost next to nothing by the time the draft rolls around because people will go back and watch the film and do the real work by doing it that way. But I find it fascinating, too. Like Duffy said, I mean, it's the NFL. So anything that has to do with the NFL, we consume. And for me, college basketball is less interesting this year.
Yeah.
I mean, spring training is going to be getting going. But what else is there to watch right now outside of this?
That got me to thinking about, we've had a couple of these experiments in the past, 3 of them actually that I can remember. Is the time ripe to take another stab at spring professional football?
I'll tell you why it's not going to work. Baseball is a sport where if it's being played by professionals or it's being played by kids in high school, it's similar, right? I mean, the athletes are better in the major leagues, but there's a difference. But if you're the casual fan can't tell a difference. There's a huge difference between an NFL game and a Division III football game, and there's going to be a huge difference between an NFL game and a spring football game. I don't think, as rabid as NFL fans are, they're going to put up with an inferior product, even if it's not competing directly with the NFL.
But we watched the Combine.
But we know those guys are going to be superstars. Who's going to be the next superstar?
We would watch the NFL if it were in the spring. We'd watch it if it were in the fall. We'd watch it if it were in the winter. We'd watch it at any point. But the NFL is smart enough to know that even the small amount of viewership they might lose for baseball is just not worth it.
Jeez. Do you see any future for a secondary league again in the spring there, Dan?
No. Somebody may try it because, like you said, I mean, there is the opportunity there to at least try it. I don't think it's going to work, though. The NFL is such a power. Even when we get so frustrated with it, so upset by what some of the athletes in the NFL are doing, we still watch. It was the highest rated Super Bowl of all time. And as much as we say we're not going to do something, if it's the NFL, we're still going to watch.
Right.
Well, let's put it this way. The winning quarterback, when they did the UFL a couple years ago, the quarterback that won the championship, J.P. Lossman. with the Las Vegas Locomotives. That's how watered
That's
down.
why you're not watching it.
That's how watered down your spring football is.
It's a good spot to end it, I think. Look, Tony Bosch is going to jail. Is the steroid era over in baseball? When the original Rochester Press Box continues. Welcome back to the original Rochester Press Box. Bill with Danny, John, and Duffy. Steroid era. With Tony Bosch headed to jail for essentially, his crime is impersonating a doctor for 4 years. Is there any chance that we've heard the last of the steroid problem in baseball?
No, but it's not just baseball. I mean, it's a problem I don't think that's ever going to go away in sports. The cheaters are always ahead of the testing. That's the way it's always going to be. And people are always going to be willing to put themselves out there at risk of maybe testing positive to get that edge. So you're always going to have people willing to cheat. You're always going to have people cheating. And it's just another drug dealer going to jail. We saw Brian McNamee get ridden from baseball, and then there was a Tony Bosch. There'll be somebody to fill for now the gap that Tony Bosch has left with him leaving. There was 15 major leaguers caught with him. Mm-hmm. There'll be somebody else.
And you know what it's done? Even if everybody in baseball is clean, it now leaves doubt in our minds at all times. This steroid era. I mean, the entire MLB could be completely clean. Everybody could be doing it the right way, and I'm still not going to believe it's the case. That's what this has done.
And yet we care so little about it in football, Duffy.
Well, I think that's the MLB's problem. The MLB decides now we're going to take a stand. After they get all their viewership back with the Sosa and McGuire race, now we're going to take a stand. We're the American game. We're a family sport. The NFL didn't take that route. The NBA didn't take that route. The NHL absolutely didn't take that route. Those sports became more entertaining, while Major League Baseball, for all intents and purposes, became less entertaining. They're losing while everyone else is gaining. Maybe, just maybe, Major League Baseball got a little too high and mighty for themselves, shot themselves in the foot.
I've heard people say that they missed the game the way it used to be played,
Oh,
and that
absolutely.
let's put these guys back on
Absolutely.
It was the best baseball I ever watched. That was the baseball I grew up on. I grew up watching these roided up freaks hit 600-foot home runs. So, yeah, now when you got to watch pitching duels, it's not quite as interesting.
Now, that said, do you ever see a day where certain PEDs are okay to the point where guys need to get healthy, they need to take... Commissioners are smart. They know that the best way to sell their product is to have their athletes, their star athletes, on the field. Is there any point where PEDs maybe become okay, some of them?
Well, you look at it, if you take Andy Pettit at his word, is what he said, he took this stuff to recover quickly and get back onto the field. How much different is that than Tommy John surgery?
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of its results.
Well, I mean, Andy Pettit, I believe, is a bold-faced liar. It's easy to sit in that press conference and say, oh, look, I was hurting, I got a family, I got to make money. Come on, man.
But just for the sake of argument, let's believe him.
Okay, that's fine. What are the negative side effects of Tommy John surgery for a 17-year-old kid? There's your point. A 17-year-old kid takes steroids, he could roid out, his what shrinks, he loses his hair, you got health problems. 17-year-old kid has Tommy John surgery, he's throwing harder.
It's always the kids. They're always looking out for the kids.
Come on, but that's what I do.
Like it or not, when the original Rochester Press Box continues. Welcome back to the original Rochester Press Box. Like it or not, the A-Rod apology, John.
Doesn't it reek of something that was 2 years too late? Look at guys like Giambi, Pettit, that came out immediately, whether or not we believe their entire story. They came out, they said, hey, here's why I did it, and I'm sorry. I apologize. I should have done that, whatever. This seems like a guy who was backed into a corner so many times, caught red-handed so many times, lying, that this kind of forced his hand. And it was odd to me. I was talking to Jenny Ryan about this the other day. It was odd to me, this handwritten letter. We're in the digital era, and there he is. He sits there. And did he write that letter? If he does, he has spectacular penmanship because, the swoops. Who writes in cursive anymore? I just think it reeked of something that was 2 years too late for me.
I can't believe that they don't teach what I used to refer to as longhand anymore. No one
they
teaches
used
people
to
write them.
Yeah, 3rd, 4th grade, we did that.
Wait, they don't teach cursive?
No.
I learned
Where have you
cursive.
been? As soon as we got computers, cursive went right out the window.
We don't even write anymore.
How do people learn how to sign their name then?
Well, that you just
That's the one
practice
thing.
over and over.
You don't know what
Well,
you're
they
writing.
teach you how to sign your name, and that's it.
That's probably it. It's all about the kids.
Well, I was telling Phil off the air, if you gave me $1 million, and I'll give you $1 million if you could write me 10 pages in cursive, I don't think I could do it.
That's amazing. That's just amazing to me. All right, Danny, like it or not,
I wouldn't know how to do the Z's. I like Billy Madison there. Yeah.
like it or not, the Yankees decided to retire 3 numbers this year.
Hate it. We talked about this on the air. I think they completely lowered their standards for the bottom line. It's one of those things where the team isn't going to be that good this year. Last year, at least.
Who are the guys?
Huh?
Who are the guys?
Andy Pettit,
Number.
Bernie Williams, Jorge
Do
Posada.
you know their numbers?
Yeah, 46 for Pettit, 51 for Bernie, and number 20 for Pettit.
Would you have known these?
Spectacular.
Okay,
I don't
because
really know
because I
numbers
looked
that
them
well,
up this
but we've
morning.
been talking about it all week, so it's one of those things where.
That's like the eyeball test in retiring a number. If you don't know what the number was, you can't retire.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Oh, I hate it. I think it's clearly about the bottom line for the Yankees. Again, they don't really have a selling point this year. At least last year was Jeter's farewell. Everyone coming to tip their cap to Jeter. Whereas this year, what are you selling it on? What, the A-Rod freak show? We don't even know if he's actually going to be on the team. He may not get through spring training healthy. So instead, you get a few dates a year where you can maybe not even sell out Yankee Stadium because they don't do that anymore, but get more people in the seats than you would have otherwise.
Eventually, you're going to have Babe Ruth, Jeter, Rivera, Bernie Williams. He's a good player.
It's embarrassing.
on.
Well, hold on. Let me ask you a question. Are those 3 guys a victim of playing for the greatest franchise arguably ever in sports? Because if Bernie Williams plays for the Milwaukee Brewers and he has that career, his numbers retired automatically. Same with Pettit, same with Posada. You put him in Kansas City, that kind of stuff happens.
Yeah, but that's what you're doing. You're the Yankees retiring Yankee numbers. As it is, you can't bat 1 through 10 at this point anyways either. There are so many numbers out there for them that they've already retired. Yeah, I think they are. I think he is. I think you're right. I think he is a victim of playing for the Yankees.
But that's precisely the point. I mean,
It's the Yankees.
The Yankees should be above this.
Well, they pretend to be above this. So you're lowering your standards. And to me, you can't walk around with your nose in the air pretending to be the almighty Yankees if you're then going to lower your standards and be like you said, like everybody else. Or like by retiring Bernie Williams. And you mentioned the names that these guys are going with in Monument Park with their numbers retired. It doesn't fit. They don't fit with Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig and Mickey Mantle. It just doesn't fit.
Imagine they're nostalgic now, the kids. It's being told by their parents is, I remember when the Yankees had single-digit uniforms, and Jeter will wear the last one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, unless they give out 0, and you consider that. Duffy, like it or not, the moves the Sabres have made toward the deadline.
It hurts me, but I like it. What was amazing to me, the Sabres trade for Evander Kane, Zach Bogosian, okay? In that deal, when it runs across the scroll on ESPN, it says Sabres trade for superstar Evander Kane. You know what it didn't say? Sabres trade superstar defenseman Tyler Myers. There was a time 4 or 5 years ago, maybe even less. Tyler Myers was a cannot-miss defensive prospect, going to be the next Zdeno Chara, going to be the best defenseman in the league. Well, he gets stuck with a rough coach before Nolan, a guy who had him play stay-home defense, didn't work for his game. Now he gets Nolan. The word behind the scenes is they don't like each other, so he loses 3 years of his career in Buffalo, and by no fault of his own. I see Myers being a Pierre Turgeon type, where he gets out of town, gets a fresh start, and explodes. Like even Drew Stafford, who, by the way, the Sabres had to pay $500,000 to give away, had a point assisted by Myers the other night playing for Winnipeg. I mean, Kane's got potential. I think with a fresh start it helps him out. But it had to be done. It was something that had to be done.
You said through no fault of his own. You hear a lot of talk. It says, Meyer, he got the big contract, and from the time he got the big contract, his career went down. Do you connect him?
Well, we've seen it in other sports.
Yeah.
But I think it's one of those things, like Duffy said. I mean, the expectations were obviously very, very high. He's been on a bad team for a long time too. Maybe a fresh start is exactly what Tyler Myers needed.
Alrighty. Well, we'll see. Well, the one thing is it made the team worse on the ice, which is good for the next draft class, which is what we all want.
Well, this is true. And the other thing about Myers, to defend him, now, I mean, I'm no Tyler Myers fan by any stretch of the imagination.
You kind of sound like.
Well, when you play on a bad team, listen, I'm a defenseman. I play D-League men's. I know what I'm talking about here.
Hockey guy.
When you're playing on a bad team, when you play with a guy who isn't up to the skill level you are, which Myers has been playing with for the last 5 years, it affects your game. You're going to get caught in different places you shouldn't be. You're going to expect them to take over where they're not going to, and it just drags you down. Mark my words, that kid will be an all-star in 3 years.
Unfinished business when we return. Welcome back to the original Rochester Press Box Unfinished Business. Danny, start us off.
Well, we mentioned it before, the A-Rod apology note. Now, Alex Rodriguez, if you haven't heard, which most of you have by now, he wrote an apology note rather than stepping up to a mic and whether it was an interview, press conference, whatnot. A note. Is a note the easy way out? Of course. The cowardly way out? Yeah, probably. But I also think it was kind of the smart way. I mean, at this point in A-Rod's career, he's done the interview thing. He's done the press conference thing. He's lied, and he's lied again. So what did he have to gain by going up in front of a microphone and talking to us at this point? Is anybody going to believe him? No matter what he would have done, no matter which way he would have gotten his apology out there, whether it's by note, interview, or press conference, were you going to believe him either way? Would I have loved to see the guy dodge questions, maybe even dodge wrenches like in dodgeball, while he's getting peppered with questions at the podium? Of course. We all would have loved that. But I actually think for the first time in A-Rod's career, he kind of did the smart thing. He's not super media savvy. He would have looked like a liar up there. He would have looked like a liar no matter what he did. So he wrote a note. I can deal with that. I wasn't going to believe him no matter what he said, and neither were you. The bottom line is, the note, the reason he wrote it, he's coming back to baseball. Whether you like him or not, whether you like it or not, A-Rod is going to be back at spring training. Can he play? I don't think so, but we're about to find out.
You'll love the dodgeball reference. That was
Could you
excellent.
imagine in a press conference setting, Dan stands up and throws a wrench at Alex Rodriguez?
Or maybe even tomatoes.
That I would watch.
That's a pay-per-view event. Duffy, what do you think?
Well, like it or not, the NBA championship ring, if the Cavaliers win this season, means absolutely nothing anymore. I'm not talking about LeBron. I'm leaving LeBron alone. I'm talking about Ray Allen. Word on the street, rumor this week, Ray Allen's going to sign with the Cleveland Cavaliers, which means he's going to play half a season, bring a much-needed three-point game to that Cavaliers team, and there's a good chance he's going to get a championship ring. And this is the third time he's done this. You can give him a pass for Boston. He finally wants to play on a team that's going to be a winner, and he knows it. Then he goes to Miami, and his two teammates, best friends, Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, they despise him for it. But even you could say there, it's sour grapes. Now Ray Allen is at a point in his career where he knows he's so old, his body is so beat up, that he can't survive an entire NBA season. But that doesn't matter, because if he goes and signs with Cleveland and they win a championship, he doesn't get half a ring. He gets an entire ring. And how about he knows the entire season, watching these games being played, that he's going to sign in Cleveland halfway through the year, unless things don't go well, in which case he can sign wherever he wants, wherever the hell they're going to take him, because he's going to get a championship ring. Now, we've seen this a couple of times. I'm a Celtics fan, so you saw it with Sam Cassell, you saw it with Stephon Marbury. Guys will catch on halfway through the season hunting for a ring, but I can't remember such a high-profile name succeeding in getting that championship ring. If Ray Allen does it, you're going to see guys that have 2-3 years left just not play for the first half of the season. And what the heck does that do for me watching the NBA from October to, January?
Training camp. Extended training camp. They have it in baseball, extended spring training.
Well, the good news is my Golden State Warriors are going to win that title anyway.
Oh, now
So it's
they're
a moot
yours.
point.
Yeah, I was going to say he's the only guy who has the Golden State Warriors.
Oh, I'm the only guy out here. You know, I'm from the Bay Area. I'm the only guy out here been cheering for the Warriors. You should see my desk. All right, it helps that they're good.
I'm seeing
now.
them in Cleveland next week.
I'm going to go
Can't
see them in
wait.
Boston in 2 weeks.
Say hi to Ray Allen.
Will do.
All right, you guys done? Go ahead, John.
I'm going to make mine short and sweet. Earlier this week at Canandaigua, we saw a girl, Courtney Wagner, a senior at Canandaigua. They were playing Brighton, gets put into the game, scores the team's first bucket. Courtney has stage 4 brain cancer. It was another one of those amazing displays of sportsmanship that we have seen time and time again over the last few years. Just in Section 5, I've seen it a couple of times this year. North Star Christian was playing Webster Christian. One kid for Webster had torn his ACL. He was a senior. He had a big leg brace on. They put him in the game. He scored the game's first bucket. And typically when things get overdone, I tend to say they get overdone, and I'm tired of seeing them. I'm not tired of seeing these. Every time it happens, I like it even more. We get an opportunity. And one of the things that we really take pleasure in is covering high school athletics, and for a number of different reasons. We get a lot of great opportunities to work with a lot of great kids, but also a lot of great coaches. And we rarely talk about the great coaches, guys and girls and women that are out there teaching these kids about more than basketball, about more than hockey, about more than football. And so I'm taking this opportunity to give a little love to all those great coaches out there.
Nicely said, and there's a lot of them, too. Thank you, John. I had a little history lesson for you. We were talking about retired numbers earlier. George Selkirk was the second guy for the New York Yankees to wear the number 3. He came to the Yankees as a full-time right fielder, replacing Babe Ruth after they had released him in 1935. He played 9 seasons, I think, with the Yankees, won 5 World Series rings. He was on a team, and one of the 5 guys, the only time a team has had 5 guys in a season drive in 100 runs. George Selkirk's important to us, and not just because his nickname was Twinkle Toes, because he used to run on the balls of his feet, and he looked kind of goofy doing it. From what I understand, I never actually saw him play. Is that George Selkirk was a Canadian native who, when he was a kid, moved to Rochester, New York, graduated from Jefferson High School. In 1947, they retired George Selkirk's number 3 in honor of Babe Ruth. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Danny, as always, John, real good finish. For the kids.
For the kids.
Duffy, thank you very much.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again next week on the original Rochester Press Box.